Hi everyone. In this video, we will write a simple Java project. And once we are done with it, we will see how we can move our code into the GitHub repository. To develop a Java project, we will be using an IDE called Eclipse. Let's get started. The first step is to create a Java program. Is to go to the file, click on this name, and select the new Java project. So here, let's give our project a name first, Java project, and keep everything as default and click on finish. Once we are done with it, the IDE creates an empty project. So now, in order to write our Java code, we need to create a Java class. So let's do that. Click on this, click on this new, and select new class. So let's give our Java class a name. My first class, and select this option, this public static void, and click on this checkbox so that the IDE will automatically add this main method into our Java class. So now that our Java class is ready, let's write code, some code. So before writing some code, let's uh, have some discussion on this class. What is a class and what are the methods? So basically, as you know, Java is an object-oriented language, and a class is an object which represents an entity in a Java application. An object can be anything, like object or the entity, right? Entity can be anything. And also one more thing is a class in a Java will have member variables and methods, or what we can call in the convention is behaviors. So member variables and the behaviors. So for a class behavior, we can refer it as a method. So whatever code that we are going to write in this method, it represents some functionality of a Java class. That is a one point. So now that we have a basic understanding of what is a Java and what is the class and what is a method, let's write some simple code. Let's write a single line of code which prints something in the console. So in order to print that, Java provides us with some standard libraries. So we can start using those as well. So to print something, we need to system out dot println. So first Java, first Java. So now that we have a code ready, let's execute and see whether it prints the proper output. So what we want to do, we want to see this output in the console. Right click, run as first Java. See, there you go. We have successfully created our first Java project and printed this statement from the Java to the console. Now let's assume down the line you have become a Java expert and you started working on a project, and let's assume the project is like the project that you are working is to add two numbers. It will take the two numbers entered by the user and it will add it up and it will give the user the result, and it will give user the result. So and you tell your friend that you are working on this project, but and your friend tells you that even he also wants he is interested in working on this project. So what you have to do? First thing is you have to share the code, right? You have to share the source code to your friend. So in order to share the code to your friend, there are multiple ways. One thing is you can send him via the email, or you can put it in some time, and he can also take the code and he can look into the code and he can start working on the code. But as a software developer, right, it's always recommended or suggested to use the GitHub to share the code to anyone, not only to your friend, right? Even sometimes what if you are maintaining or if you are sharing your code through the GitHub, right? Even they can also start working on the project using GitHub. So in order to move our code into the GitHub, we need to have a repository where we can call it as a one repository as a local repository, and one we represent or refer as a remote repository. The repository that we create within our development environment is a local repository, and the repository which is in the GitHub website is called the remote repository. So now that we have project here, and in order to convert this project into a repository, we will go to this project location, and we need, in order to convert this project into a repository, we need to open the git bash. Here we just need to enter command as git init. So as you can see, right, the git created a folders dot git. So that means we have successfully created or converted this project into a git repository. Now that we have uh, created a local repository, which we can call it as a local repository, we need to have a remote repository, so that uh, whatever there in the local repository, we can move it to the remote repository. And in order to create a remote repository, we will be using GitHub. So let's go to the GitHub website, and here you can see I have already opened my account, and there is an option to create repository. This option, let's click on this, and it will ask some information for our repository, and specifically it's asking for the name. So let's give our repository name first, Java project, and description. Let's add some first Java code, and I can also add a README file. So now let's create a repository. Now that our remote repository is ready and our also local repository is ready, one thing we have to do is we have to tell Git that point our local repository to the remote repository that is existing or present in the GitHub. So in order to do that, what we have to do is we have to copy this repository link. So click on this code and select the HTTPS and click on this option. That means we need to copy this link. Then go to the git bash, and here enter command as git remote add origin and paste the URL. So here what we are telling is, basically we are telling Git to point our local repository to the remote repository. So click enter. Now our local and repository is pointing to the remote repository. So now in order to start pushing our code into the remote repository, uh, first fetch all the branch details that are present in the remote repository. So in order to do that, we will do fetch. So this will fetch all the branch details that are there in the remote repository into our local repository. So as you can see, right, we have a main branch in the remote repository. So rather than, as you can see, right, here we are seeing a master branch, but rather than working on master branch, our remote repository contains main branch. So let's start working on the main branch itself. So in order to start working in main branch, we need to change our branch from existing from master to the main branch. So in order to do that, we need to check out main branch. Now you can see, right, the branch is changed from remote branch and from main, and here you can also see the difference, like from master it changed to the main. Now we can start adding the files to the main branch. So once you change your branch, right, you can start adding the files uh, to the staging area. So what is staging area means? So once you added any files to the staging area, the Git will start tracking those files for any changes. So in order to add files to the staging area, we need to hit the command git add. So basically add star dot means it will add all the files or subfolders that are present in this directory to the staging area. So if you hit this command, it will add all the files to the staging area. Even you can see the status also, git status. As you can see, all these files are added in the staging area, and we need to commit it. So what basically commit means, uh, basically we are telling Git, okay, we are adding these files into this repository for these changes. So in order to tell what is our change, we need to commit those files. So Git commit, and we need to add a message, like let's assume as it's the first commit, right? First code movement to GitHub, and hit enter. Now we have committed our code, but you can see, right, even after this we don't see our files in the uh, remote repository. So in order to push our code into the remote repository from the local repository, we need to hit a command as git push origin main. So what we are telling it is, whatever the code that is there in the local repository, just push it to the remote repository of the main branch of the remote repository. So click enter. Now Git will start adding the files into the remote repository. As you can see, right? Yeah. Once you're done, like we are done, we successfully added our files from the local repository to the remote. Even you can verify as well. Go to this source folder and my first class.java. See, even the same thing, whatever the code that we have in the remote repository as well, GitHub as well. So there you go. We have successfully created our first Java program, and we have added it to the GitHub through the Git command. So that's it for this video. We will discuss more on this Java and GitHub in the upcoming videos. Thank you.